This is Crew Resource Management, Threat and Error Management. Watch this video. Hello, welcome to the channel. This is Crew Resource Management and Threat and Error Management. So threat and error management is a huge component of Crew Resource Management. And within any CRM session on this topic, you'll be looking to define threats and errors, identify and categorize threats and errors, and you'll be looking to discuss threat and error management strategies. So what is threat and error management? It is the practice of thinking ahead to predict and to avoid operational threats, errors, and manage any that occur. So in terms of definitions, a threat is defined as any situation, event, or circumstance that occurs outside of the influence of the flight crew and which may affect the safety of an operation. Unmanaged threats can impact safety and lead to errors. In terms of crew resource management, in terms of safety, threats are big red flags and they should never be ignored. Now, there are different types of threats. You can discuss anticipated threats. What's the weather situation in your given area? What's a weather situation in an area in which you're about to fly into? Unexpected threats, such as engine failures, any emergency response to abnormal situation, any in-flight diversion to an unexpected event. And also there are latent threats, such as found within design flaws or within optical illusions, for example. So you'd be discussing whether threats are external to you as an individual or whether they can be internal to you as an individual. Whether they are external of your operating environment or they can be internal within your operating environment, such as a cockpit or aircraft cabin, or even within a passenger compartment, or even within a hangar space. So in terms of general aviation, you'll be looking to discuss different types of threats: terrain, weather, aircraft issues, air traffic control errors, pressure and fatigue, your working roster, operating culture. And you'll also be looking to explore if there are any other threats within your role or within your daily activity. So how would you combat threats? How would you deal with threats? Would you be looking at training, proficiency and experience? What about the role of standard operating procedures and vigilance? What about situational awareness, monitoring and cross-checking, communication, workload management, fatigue awareness? What about leadership? Are there any other ways in which you can deal with threats? So in terms of threats, you would look to explore and discuss the management of threats. You'd be looking to avoid threats in the first place, trap any that develop, and mitigate any future consequence of a threat as well. And within this area of avoid, trap, and mitigate, you'd be discussing different examples and different scenarios. So once you've fully explored threats, then you'd move on to errors. Errors can be defined as the consequence of human involvement, which cause deviation from crew or organizational intentions or expectations. In terms of this session and errors, you'll be discussing human error. There are errors and there are violations. An error is an action or an inaction which fails to achieve an intention. A violation is an intentional action or inaction which breaks the rules, procedures and norms. It must be noted that negative outcomes are not intentional here. The purpose of a violation, albeit intended, would be to have a perceived better outcome. So in terms of errors, we would look at what a slip is, what a lapse is, and what a mistake is. And within any CRM session, you'll be looking to discuss these three elements. So a slip is unintentional. You're not doing what you were meant to do. A lapse is something that you've forgotten. It's an omission. You forgot to do something. And a mistake, well, you're just doing it wrong. You may even be doing something wrong, believing it to be right. Now, in terms of violations, we'll be discussing the three main types of violation. A routine violation, which is something that you would regularly do, an operational practice. A situational violation, there's a particular situation that presents itself and you would violate a certain rule because you believe there'll be a better outcome. And an exceptional violation, something that is deliberate, but something that is really out of the ordinary. So within a CRM session, you'd also discuss errors and violations and the role of these within the aviation environment and within any organizational structure, how it affects individuals and also groups of people. Continuing with errors, you would look at error chains. You would look at single error incidents, multiple error incidents, any dormant weaknesses within any system that can create an error, and situations when you can have immediate active failures. At any point in any system, you will have a chain of events, a chain of situations, and you could have a chain of errors. It's important to recognize that errors can be present in any system. So as with threats, we can adopt a similar strategy to manage errors. Avoid, trap, mitigate. We can understand how errors are formed, where and when they occur. We can change the conditions, the behaviors and the culture to prevent errors. And we can engage in CRM principles. And within the group, you'll be looking to discuss this further and give examples as well. One of the questions and areas of discussion within this area of CRM, threat and error management, is whether you can ever become errorless. Can you eliminate all errors out of your daily routine? Can behaviors, can systems be designed so that errors do not exist? What do we need to do to understand the fault process? In threat and error management, it's all about understanding the process, understanding the occurrence, and less about appropriation of blame. And we'd also be looking at the reliability and consistency of any interrogation of error chains. Threat and error management is a core element within crew resource management, and it particularly lends itself for a group to digest and discuss an error incident or accident case study. As with all CRM sessions, be prepared to come and discuss all the elements involved. If you like what I do here, subscribe to the channel and keep on watching the videos, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.